They say still water hides what it can't bury. I used to think that was just a phrase something old fishermen said to scare kids away from the deep. But some nights, when the air is cold and the lake is calm enough to mirror the sky, you see things. Not reflections, not tricks of light. You see what the water remembers. They say still water hides the deepest things. That night, I learned they were right. It was supposed to be simple, just me and my younger brother, JJ, fishing at a small lake deep in the woods. We'd done it 100 times before. Same rods, same bait, same worn-out cooler in the back of my truck. But that night, something about the place felt off. The road leading there was barely a road anymore, just dirt and scattered gravel. Our headlights cut through the fog like blades, and the trees seemed to lean in close as if watching us drive by. By the time we parked, the air had turned heavy and cold. We unloaded in silence. The lake was nothing but black glass, flat and perfect, reflecting the pale moon like an eye. The kind of silence that feels thick, where even your own breath sounds wrong. Jay laughed quietly as he unpacked his rod. "Creepy, huh?" he said. I smirked. "You're the one who wanted quiet." We set up on the old dock, its boards warped and soft with age. It groaned beneath our weight, but it held. We dropped our lines into the water, watched the ripples fade, and waited. Minutes passed, maybe hours. It was the kind of night where time doesn't move the same. Around 2 in the morning, I noticed something strange. The mist on the surface had thickened, curling like smoke. The moonlight blurred, and I thought I saw movement, just a ripple, far across the lake. Jay noticed too. "Did you see that?" he whispered. Something, a shape, had risen from the far end of the lake. Not fast, slow, smooth, deliberate. At first, I thought it was driftwood, maybe a branch, but then it turned, and I saw a face. Just for a second before it sank again, vanishing without a sound. We waited, holding our breath. 1 minute, 2, no splash. No bubbles. No sound of swimming. Jay's voice trembled. That was a person, right? I forced a shrug. Maybe a diver, or a log. But we both knew it wasn't a log, and no diver holds their breath for 3 full minutes. The air grew colder. My skin prickled. I could see my own breath now, white against the dark. Then the surface broke again, closer this time. It was her. She rose slowly, her face pale in the moonlight, her long dark hair slicked back against her head. She was beautiful, almost unnaturally so. Her swimsuit shimmered dark blue, the color of the water itself. "Evening," she said softly. Her voice was gentle, calm. It carried perfectly across the water, even though she was still 20 meters away. JJ said nothing. He just stared. I called back, "You okay out there?" She smiled, that calm, polite kind of smile you give a stranger on the street. "The water's perfect," she said. "You should come in." The way she said it made the back of my neck tighten. I chuckled, trying to sound casual. "Nah, we're good here." She tilted her head slightly, eyes never leaving us. "Don't be shy," she said. "It's warm." But it wasn't warm. The mist rolling off the lake bit at my skin like ice. JJ leaned closer. "Something's not right." "Yeah," I whispered. "I know." We started gathering our gear, moving quietly, trying not to make a scene. I didn't even look at her again. But before we could leave, her voice cut through the air, sharper this time. "Don't go." We froze. Her tone had changed. It wasn't soft anymore. It was flat, like an echo, but wrong. Too clear, too close. Jay's flashlight trembled in his hand. What did she just? "Let's move," I hissed. But before we could take a step, she screamed. It was one word, a single broken nitrogen monoxide. But it didn't sound human. It was like metal tearing underwater, a sound that shook the dock beneath us. My ears rang. Jay dropped his flashlight, and it rolled, spinning its beam across the lake. For a heartbeat, the light caught her face again, and her smile was gone. Her mouth hung open, impossibly wide, eyes rolled white. Then she was gone, just gone, the water swallowing her whole without a splash. Silence. Not even the insects dared to start up again. JJ's breathing was fast, shallow. What the hell was that? I didn't answer. I just grabbed his arm. We're leaving, now. We stumbled back to the truck, the wet grass cold against our legs. When I looked back, the lake was still, calm and perfect again. The kind of stillness that didn't make sense after what we'd seen. Jay was shaking as we climbed in. You saw her face, right? He said. She didn't look alive. I started the engine. Don't talk. We drove. Neither of us said another word until we hit the main road. My hands wouldn't stop trembling on the wheel. I remember looking at the side mirror, just once. And that's when I saw it. In the faint red glow of the taillights, on the lake behind us, a reflection. A pale face, half submerged, watching. Her hair slicked flat against her skull, eyes black as the water. And she was smiling again. We called the police that night. They sent a patrol out to check the lake. No signs of anyone swimming, no footprints, no car nearby. The officer said we probably saw moonlight reflections or mist illusions. But JJ hasn't gone near a lake since. And I can't close my eyes without seeing her, waiting just beneath the surface, her hand slowly reaching up through the dark water, waiting for us to come back. Sometimes, when I dream, I can still hear her voice. Soft, distant. The water's perfect. The police didn't take us seriously. They showed up the next morning. 2 officers, both looking like they'd rather be anywhere else. The older one, Sergeant Pierce, leaned against his cruiser with a cup of coffee, while the younger guy waded through the grass, shining a flashlight at the dock. We stood by the truck, trying to explain what happened. JJ kept glancing at the lake, as if she might rise up again at any moment. She was out there, I said. Right in the middle. She talked to us. Pierce took a sip, unimpressed. Middle of the night, fog everywhere, reflection on the water. Probably a deer or some night swimmer. JJ snapped. She screamed at us. You think a deer can do that? The sergeant sighed. You boys been drinking? I didn't bother answering. I could tell this was going nowhere. After a few minutes of checking nothing, they packed up. One of them muttered something about kids and ghost stories. But before they left, Pierce turned to me. You said she went under and didn't come back up? Yeah. He squinted toward the water. Then she's still down there. And just like that, they drove away. For days, I tried to push it out of my mind. But I couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face beneath the surface, that faint, impossible smile. The sound of her voice, echoing like it came from the bottom of a well. JJ stopped sleeping entirely. He'd stay up till morning, pacing his apartment. His girlfriend called me, worried. She said he'd started keeping all his windows closed and refused to shower unless someone else was home. The 3rd night after it happened, he called me. I could hear wind through the phone, faint and hollow. Hey, he whispered, you're not going to believe this, but I think she's here. I sat up in bed. What do you mean, she's there? He breathed heavily. I went outside to smoke. There's something in the lake behind my building. It's moving. JJ, don't. I just want to see, he said. Maybe it's a raccoon or something. The line went quiet. Then I heard the faint crunch of gravel under his shoes. The wind, the steady hum of night insects. Then water, slow, deliberate splashes, JJ? Nothing. JJ, talk to me. He exhaled sharply. It's in the middle. Just like before. What is? The shape. His voice dropped lower. She's facing me. The line cracked. Then I heard him say, almost to himself, she's closer. And then the sound of something large hitting the water. A splash, then silence. I drove there in 20 minutes. The lake behind JJ's apartment was small, artificial, a man-made pond for the housing complex. When I got there, his balcony door was open, his phone lying face down on the deck. I shouted his name until my throat hurt. No answer. The water was still, perfectly still. They found him the next morning, sitting at the edge of the lake, soaked, barefoot, trembling. His clothes were covered in mud, and he couldn't speak. The paramedics said he was in shock. When he finally did talk, his voice was different, thin, strained, like something had cracked inside him. She was there, he whispered, in the water. I tried to stay calm. Who? The woman. Same as before. I didn't know what to say. He looked straight at me, eyes wide, lips trembling. She was calling my name, over and over. She said she wanted to show me something. I swallowed hard. Did you go in? He nodded slowly. I didn't want to, but my legs. They moved on their own. I couldn't stop. What did you see, JJ? He blinked. His hands shook violently. She was right below me, smiling. Then she pulled me down. The room went silent. Even the machines beside his bed seemed to hesitate. He looked past me, toward the window. When I came up, she was gone. But the water, it wasn't just water anymore. It was black, like ink, and it moved. He didn't say anything else that night. 2 days later, he disappeared again. The nurses said they checked his room at 3 a.m. He was asleep. By 4, his bed was empty, the window open, the floor wet with muddy footprints that led toward the hospital pond across the street. They dragged the pond for hours, found nothing, no body, no footprints leading away. Just the same perfect stillness on the surface. I couldn't sleep after that. Every time I looked at a puddle, a stream, even a glass of water, I'd see it move, faintly, like something was breathing beneath it. The police searched for 2 weeks, then stopped calling me. The official report said JJ likely wandered off under stress, but I knew better. Because the night before he disappeared, he left me a voicemail. I didn't find it until days later. His voice was shaking. Hey, I keep hearing it again. That voice. She keeps saying. There was a long pause. Then, faintly, the water's perfect. Then the sound of footsteps. Then a splash. And then, silence. I went back to the lake. Not the one behind his apartment, the original one. The place where it all started. It looked exactly the same. The same dock, the same trees, even the same moonlight glinting off the surface. Nothing had changed, but as I stood there, I realized something. The lake wasn't reflecting the sky. It was too dark, too deep, too still. I knelt down, staring at my own reflection. For a moment, I thought I saw movement behind me, like someone standing in the fog. I turned around. No one was there. When I looked back, the water rippled once, just slightly. Then I saw her. Her face appeared beneath mine, pale and calm, her lips barely moving. She whispered something I couldn't hear. Then the water went black again. I haven't told anyone else this part. Not the police, not my parents, not the reporters who came asking questions. But I know JJ isn't gone. Not completely. Because last night, when I was brushing my teeth, I looked down into the sink, and for just a second, the reflection looking back wasn't mine. It was his, smiling. And from somewhere deep below, beneath the sound of running water, a woman's voice whispered again, soft, patient, almost kind. The water's perfect. A month after JJ disappeared, I went back. I told myself it was to find answers, but that wasn't the truth. The truth is, the lake had been calling me. Every night, I'd hear it in my dreams, that faint, distant voice whispering just beneath the sound of water dripping from a faucet. Sometimes it was JJ's voice, sometimes it was hers. But every time, it said the same thing. Come back. It started small. The shower would turn on by itself. The drain would clog with black sludge that smelled faintly of algae and metal. Then I began to see her, not fully, but in glimpses, a pale arm breaking the surface of a puddle after rain, a flash of blue fabric drifting in the corner of my eye when I poured water into a glass. I stopped drinking water altogether. I bought bottles of soda and canned juice. Didn't help. Every reflection was her. Every silence was her voice. So one night, I stopped fighting it. I drove back to the lake. It hadn't changed. The road was still broken, the same bent sign half buried in weeds. Private property, no trespassing. The air was colder than I remembered, though. And the silence. It was thicker, heavier, as if the woods were holding their breath. I parked near the dock. My flashlight flickered the moment I stepped out, like something didn't want it working here. The water looked black, not dark, but black, like ink. It didn't reflect the moon anymore. The air smelled of iron and rot. I called out, JJ? Nothing. Just the slow, patient sound of water touching the shore. I stood there for a long time, waiting for something to happen. My breath came out in white clouds. I almost convinced myself to leave until I saw it. A shimmer. A single ripple broke across the surface, moving outward in a slow circle. Then another. Then another. I froze. And then I saw her. She rose from the center of the lake like she'd been waiting all along. The same woman, the same dark blue swimsuit, her hair plastered to her skin. Her face was calm, her eyes reflecting no light at all. You came back, she said softly. My throat went dry. I tried to step back, but my legs wouldn't move. Where's my brother? I asked. She tilted her head, smiling faintly. He's here. The way she said it, calm, certain, made my stomach twist. What did you do to him? She didn't answer. Instead, she raised one hand from the water. Something dangled from her fingers. It was JJ's bracelet, the one he never took off. I wanted to run, but my body refused to obey. My skin felt tight, my muscles heavy, as though the air itself had turned to water. He wanted to see, she whispered, and now he does. Her voice was closer than it should have been. It came from everywhere, above the water, below, inside my head. See what? Her smile widened. What's beneath? Then she sank, straight down. No splash, no ripple. I stood there shaking, heart pounding so hard I thought I'd faint. Then the water began to move again, slowly, deliberately. Something large was rising beneath the surface. At first, I thought it was her again, but it was too big, too wide. The reflection of the moon warped and twisted as it rose. Then the water split open, and something white floated up, a face. It was JJ. His eyes were open, his mouth slack. His skin had turned gray, bloated, but he was smiling. The same gentle, unnatural smile she had. I fell backward onto the dock, screaming his name. He blinked. His lips moved. At first, no sound came out. Then, through the gurgle of water in his throat, I heard him say, "She wants to show you too." Then he sank again, pulled under by something unseen. The water sealed itself, calm and perfect once more. I don't remember how I made it back to the truck. I just remember the feeling, the sense that something was watching me, moving just beneath the ground, as if the earth itself were saturated with water. When I turned on the headlights, I saw her again, standing on the dock where I'd just been, hair dripping, eyes empty. And in her hand, she held something new, my flashlight. She lifted it slowly, pointing the beam straight at me. And then she smiled again, that same impossible, unbroken smile that I had seen on JJ's face. I drove until sunrise. The farther I got from that place, the lighter the air became. But no matter how far I went, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was still wet, that the lake had soaked into me somehow. When I got home, I locked every door, shut every faucet, unplugged the fridge just to stop the hum of running water. I thought that would be enough. But when I went to bed, I woke up hours later to a faint sound, dripping. Not from the ceiling, not from the pipes, from under the bed. I leaned down slowly, phone light trembling in my hand. And there, in the shadow beneath the frame, was a small puddle spreading across the floor. Something was moving inside it. Something blue. Now I keep hearing her voice again. Sometimes it sounds like JJ, sometimes like the woman, but lately it sounds like me. I think that's what she meant. What's beneath? It's not a place. It's not even the water. It's the reflection. The thing that waits inside it. And it's patient. Because sooner or later, everyone looks down. It's been 6 nights since I saw her last. 6 nights since the puddle appeared under my bed. Since I heard JJ's voice whispering from the dark. I haven't slept properly since then. I keep all the lights on, every window locked. I stopped using water completely. No showers, no sink, no washing dishes. I buy bottled drinks and paper towels. And yet, somehow, there's always a damp smell in the air. It's faint at first, earthy, metallic, but it grows heavier at night, like the air before rain. Last night, I dreamed again. I was back at the lake, standing on the dock. The moon reflected perfectly on the surface. It was so clear that for a moment, I couldn't tell which side I was on, above or below. Then I saw her standing beneath the reflection, upside down, smiling at me. She lifted her hand, and I lifted mine too, like a mirror. But hers broke the surface, reaching through the water as if it were glass. When her fingers touched mine, I woke up gasping, and my hand was wet. I told myself it was sweat. But it wasn't. It smelled like the lake. I thought about leaving town. I even packed a bag. But when I started the car, the radio came on by itself. Static, faint at first, then a voice. I recognized it immediately. It was her. She was whispering the same words she'd said that first night. Her tone soft, warm, patient. The water's perfect. Come back. I turned off the engine and sat there for a long time. I told myself she couldn't reach me here, that whatever this was, hallucination, haunting, curse, it was bound to the lake. But then I remembered JJ. He hadn't been at the lake when he disappeared. He was in a hospital, surrounded by people, surrounded by lights. And still, it found him. It doesn't need the lake. The lake is just the door. That realization hit me like a stone to the chest. I looked down at the condensation on the car window, and for a second, I saw a faint outline of a face in the fogged glass. I wiped it away, but it was still there, faint and wet on my fingertips. I left that night. I drove for hours, through towns I didn't recognize, until the road thinned into forest again. The car's fuel light turned red. I pulled over near a dirt trail and killed the engine. The forest was quiet, too quiet. Even the insects had gone still. I could smell water somewhere nearby stale, heavy, the same metallic chill that clung to my clothes after that night. The moon hung high above the trees, pale and swollen. And then I heard it, a soft splash not far away. I knew I should have ignored it. Every sane part of me screamed to stay in the car, to drive back to the city, to never look again. But I opened the door anyway. I stepped out, and the sound of water grew louder. Each footstep sank into the damp ground. The smell of rot and moss filled the air. I followed the sound until I reached a clearing. And there it was. Not the same lake, but close, small, round, still. The surface shone like oil in the moonlight. And standing in the middle of it, half submerged, was her, the woman in blue. Her hair clung to her face, her eyes black and wide. She was waiting. "You came," she said. Her voice didn't echo. It didn't need to. It was everywhere at once, inside the trees, the wind, the water itself. I shook my head. "No, you brought me here." Her lips curved into a faint smile. "You heard me. I want my brother back." She tilted her head, studying me. Then she took a slow step forward. The water didn't ripple around her. It was like she wasn't standing in it at all. "He's here," she said. "You can see him again. All you have to do is come closer." Her hand reached out, pale against the darkness. I felt the pull again, the same invisible weight in my chest that I'd felt the first night. Like gravity itself had shifted toward her. I wanted to move. I wanted to step forward. But I forced my feet to stay planted. "You're not real," I whispered. "You're something pretending to be him." She smiled wider, and for a heartbeat, her voice changed. It wasn't hers anymore. It was JJ's. "Please, man, it's me. I need your help." Every thought, every ounce of logic, every shred of reason vanished in that instant. My heart leapt into my throat. "JJ? Come on," the voice said, weak and desperate. "You saw what she did. You know she's real. Please, help me." I took one step forward. The air thickened. The water shimmered. And for a second, I saw him standing right beside her, half in the water, eyes glassy and terrified. He looked alive. He looked like my brother. "Reach out," she whispered, her hand still waiting for mine. "Save him." I reached. My fingers trembled as they brushed the surface. The water was warm, too warm. It pulsed like a heartbeat beneath my skin. My reflection warped, and for a moment I saw 3 faces in the water mine, hers and Jay's all, smiling the same impossible smile. Then a cold hand clamped around my wrist and yanked. I fell forward, hitting the surface hard, and everything went dark. It wasn't like sinking in water. It was thicker, heavier, endless. The world above disappeared, swallowed whole. I opened my eyes, and I could see faint light far above, distorted by the surface. But there was no up or down here, only weightless drifting. Shapes moved around me slow, human shapes, hundreds of them, eyes open, mouths slack. I recognized faces. Jay's, others, all floating, staring upward. And somewhere among them, she swam, her blue dress flowing behind her like smoke, her hair fanning out in waves. She reached me again, pressing a finger to my lips. "Breathe," she whispered. I shook my head, thrashing, bubbles exploding from my mouth. But then I realized something. She wasn't floating anymore. She was standing. There was ground beneath her feet. And when I looked down, I saw it. The lake didn't have a bottom. It had a floor. A floor made of faces. Hundreds of them, pressed into the mud, their eyes open, their mouths moving soundlessly. Water filled their throats, but they were still alive, still aware. Their bodies stretched downward into darkness. She smiled at my horror. "Now you see," she said softly. "They wanted to stay." I kicked and clawed upward, but the water thickened around me. My arms felt heavy, my lungs burning. Her hands touched my chest, pushing me gently downward. "You belong here too," she said. And then suddenly, I broke the surface. I don't remember how. One moment I was drowning, the next I was on the shore, coughing up lake water, gasping for air. The moon was higher now, the forest dead quiet. The lake behind me was perfectly still. No ripples, no movement. I looked down at my hand. My fingers were red raw, and when I wiped my face, the water on my skin shimmered faintly blue in the moonlight. I don't remember driving home. I only remember the voice that followed me all the way back, soft, steady, patient. You didn't finish. You'll come back. You always do. And maybe she's right. Because even now, when I close my eyes, I can still feel that warmth, the pulse of the water beneath my skin. And sometimes, when I listen closely, I hear a quiet sound, like a knock against glass. It's coming from inside the mirror, and it's in rhythm with my heartbeat. I thought I'd escaped. I told myself that the lake couldn't reach me anymore, that as long as I stayed dry, as long as I avoided mirrors, puddles, reflections, anything that could hold her image, I would be fine. For days, I didn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I felt her hands on my chest, pushing me down again. Every time I turned off the lights, I saw her face hovering in the darkness, pale and silent, waiting. It started small. My skin wouldn't dry. No matter how many towels I used, it stayed damp, cool to the touch, like something beneath it was still wet. Then came the smell, the same scent that clung to the lake. Mud, iron, rain. I scrubbed it until my skin burned, but it never left. When I looked in the mirror, there was a faint fog along the glass. I hadn't showered in a week, so there was no reason for it to fog up. I wiped it away and saw something behind my reflection water, rippling softly, as though the mirror had depth. I told myself not to look again, but I did. I always do. That night, I woke up choking. My throat was dry, but my pillow was soaked. I turned on the lamp and saw that the bed sheets were wet through, as if I'd been sleeping underwater. The window was closed. The ceiling was dry. But when I touched the water, it shimmered faintly blue. I heard something then, a voice. Her voice. Breathe. It was soft, almost tender, as if she were standing right beside me. I pressed my hands to my ears, but the sound came from inside my chest. It vibrated in my ribs, in my bones. I stumbled into the bathroom, turned on the sink. The faucet sputtered, then released a thin stream of black water. I stared at it, unable to look away. And then, in the reflection of the drain, I saw an eye staring back. Not mine, hers. I slammed the tap shut, but water began to drip from the ceiling, slow, steady. Each drop hit the tiles with a sound that made my heart race. I backed away, slipping, landing hard on the floor. When I looked up, there was writing on the mirror drawn in condensation, as if from someone's wet finger. Just 2 words. Join me. My breath fogged the glass. And in the fog, for an instant, her face appeared again, smiling faintly, her hair floating weightless as if submerged. I smashed the mirror. The sound echoed through the house, sharp and final. The pieces scattered across the tiles, each one catching the light differently. But even in the shards, her reflection remained. Multiplied dozens of her, all smiling, all whispering the same phrase in unison. The water's perfect. I fled. I ran until my legs gave out, collapsing near the living room. My lungs ached, my vision blurred. And when I looked down, I realized my hands were shaking uncontrollably. My fingernails were pale blue, the veins in my wrists darker, almost black. I pressed my hand against my chest. My heartbeat was slower than it should have been. Thicker. I could feel something moving beneath my ribs, slow and deliberate, like the rhythm of waves against a dock. I tried to call anyone, but the phone was dead. Even the emergency line didn't ring, only static. And underneath that static, her voice again, clearer now, calm and patient. You're changing. Don't fight it. I dropped the phone. It hit the carpet with a splash. I blinked, confused. The carpet was wet now. Water was spreading outward in a circle around me. I stood, stumbled toward the door. But the moment I touched the handle, it felt cold and slick, as if it had been underwater for years. My hand left wet fingerprints behind. I yanked it open, and the night air hit me. The street outside was empty. The rain hadn't fallen in days, but everything shimmered faintly with moisture. Every surface reflected light, the pavement, the trees, even the air. And when I looked down, I saw my own reflection staring back from a thin film of water pooling around my shoes. It smiled. I didn't. The reflection raised its hand. Mine stayed still. Then, slowly, it mouthed something. I couldn't hear it, but I knew the words. Breathe. My chest tightened. I couldn't move. The air around me felt heavy, thick. I gasped, but it wasn't air that filled my lungs. It was water, cold, dense. It rushed in and out without suffocating me, and that terrified me more than anything. My reflection blinked, and for a moment, I saw the woman instead of me, her face where mine should have been, her smile stretching wider, wider still. My vision wavered. My thoughts began to slow, sinking deeper into something that wasn't thought at all. But then, through that muffled darkness, I heard J.J.'s voice again. Don't let her in. The reflection flickered. The water rippled. I fell backward, gasping, coughing up nothing but air. The puddle was gone. The street was dry. The moon glared down, cold and clean. I don't know how long I sat there, trembling, drenched in sweat, or maybe not sweat anymore. When I looked at my hands again, the skin along my forearms was pale and translucent. Under the light, I could see the faint shimmer of movement beneath it, like small bubbles rising through clear glass. I don't think this is possession. I don't even think it's a curse. I think it's transformation. The water doesn't take you all at once. It fills you, slowly, patiently, until there's nothing left but the reflection of what used to be you. And I think that's what happened to J.J. and to everyone before him. It doesn't drown you. It replaces you. When I close my eyes now, I can feel it moving inside me. It's quiet, steady, pulsing with every heartbeat. Sometimes, when I breathe, I taste lake water. Sometimes I wake up standing at the window, staring out into the dark, hands pressed to the glass. I don't remember getting there, but I always hear the same whisper coming from somewhere far below me, almost ready. And the worst part is, I think she's right. I started running 3 days ago, but I don't think I've gotten any farther from it. Every road feels the same. Every sky looks like the reflection of another. I've stopped using GPS. The voice on it started whispering things that weren't directions. It used my name. I smashed the phone on the second night and threw it into a ditch. But when I drove past a gas station a few miles later, the radio inside the store was playing something soft. My name again, and that same familiar sentence. The water's perfect. I don't remember sleeping, but I must have, because when I woke up this morning, the truck was parked beside a sign that read, Ravens Hollow, 2 miles. I don't remember driving here. The windshield was covered in dew. My clothes were damp again. My hands left wet prints on the steering wheel. Something's inside me now. I can feel it moving, slow and careful, like it doesn't want me to notice. Sometimes my reflection blinks before I do. Sometimes it smiles when I don't. The skin around my eyes has gone pale. When I hold my breath, I can hear faint trickling under my ribs, as if there's a small current running through me. I don't know how long I can keep pretending I'm still human. I tried leaving the truck and walking into the forest. The air was thick and heavy with mist. The deeper I went, the quieter it became. No insects, no birds, no wind. The world had gone hollow. My footsteps sounded like they were happening underwater. After maybe an hour, I found another lake. It wasn't the same one, but it didn't matter. They all look the same now. Round, still black. The air above them is colder, sharper, as though the world ends at their edge. I sat down on a fallen log, staring at the surface. I don't know what I was hoping for. Maybe peace, maybe nothing. But the longer I stared, the clearer my reflection became. It looked calm, rested, almost relieved. Then it blinked. I didn't. My chest tightened. My reflection smiled. Then it spoke. I didn't hear the sound with my ears. I heard it inside my head. Stop running. I shook my head. You're not real. The reflection tilted its head, the same way she used to. You are. Then, just beneath the reflection, another figure appeared. Her. The woman in blue, her hair drifting weightlessly around her face. She looked up at me with that same soft expression, the kind that almost made you believe she was kind. It's time, she whispered. I'm not coming back, I said. You can't make me, she smiled. You already did. The water rippled once. My reflection flickered. For a split second, I saw something behind it, hands, dozens of them, reaching up through the dark, fingers pale and trembling, brushing against the surface. And then one hand broke through. Water splashed my face, cold and sharp. I stumbled backward, but the reflection didn't follow me. It stayed, watching, smiling faintly. Then another hand rose, and another. All of them were mine. They were pulling themselves out. The first one that climbed free was perfect. My height, my shape, my face, but its eyes were empty, black as the lake. Water streamed down its skin, soaking the ground where it stood. It looked at me, head tilted, curious. Then it smiled, the same stretched, unblinking smile she always had. You left us, it said. I'm not you, I whispered. You were. More were climbing out now, half-formed copies, skin slick and pale, eyes reflecting faint blue light. Each one whispered, overlapping voices like the rustle of rain. Join us. Join us. Join us. I turned and ran. My feet slid on the wet ground, mud clinging to my shoes. Behind me, I could hear the slap of bare feet on soil, the sound of water hitting leaves. I didn't look back. Every instinct screamed not to. I reached the truck, slammed the door, turned the key. Nothing. The engine choked, once, twice. I hit the wheel, screaming. The windshield was fogging up from the outside now, covered in streaks of dripping water. Through it, I saw faces pressing against the glass mine, all of them smiling. I locked the doors. The glass groaned. Cracks spread from the center outward, forming a spiderweb of fractures. Then the truck filled with the smell of wet earth, the sound of rushing water. The air was cold, damp, alive. I screamed, and the glass shattered. A flood poured in, not rain, not lake water, but something thicker, darker. It filled the cabin in seconds, and I couldn't tell if I was drowning or breathing. The world went silent, muffled. Then I opened my eyes. I was standing on the dock again. The same dock, the same lake, the same moon, hanging above it like a perfect reflection. She stood at the edge, waiting for me. You ran so far, she said softly. I could barely speak. What are you? She stepped closer. The water didn't move beneath her feet. Reflection, she said. Memory. Everything the surface keeps. I looked down. My reflection was gone. Only hers remained. Why me? I asked. She smiled faintly. Because you look too long. Something touched my hand, then gentle, cool. I looked down and saw another hand rising from the water, fingers locking with mine. It was warm, almost human. Let go, she whispered. It's easier. For a moment, I thought about it. The cold didn't scare me anymore. The silence didn't either. There was a strange peace in it, a slow drift that promised rest. But somewhere deep inside, A small part of me still wanted to breathe air, to see light that wasn't silver, and drowned. I pulled away. Her expression didn't change. "You'll come back," she said. "I won't." Her smile widened. "Then I'll come to you." I blinked, and she was gone. The lake was still again, black and perfect. The dock beneath me was dry. For the first time in weeks, I thought I might actually be free. Then I heard it. A faint sound from behind me. Not footsteps, not a voice. Dripping. Slow, steady, constant. When I turned, the ground was wet again, stretching out behind me in a trail that led into the forest. A trail of footprints. My footprints. They weren't leading away from the lake. They were leading back to it. I keep thinking I'm awake, but lately I can't tell anymore. When I open my eyes, I'm not sure which side of the water I'm on. Everything has the same blurred stillness now, shadows, moving too slowly, sounds coming from somewhere just behind my own heartbeat. It's been days since the lake, or maybe only hours. Time doesn't make sense anymore. I left that place behind, but the world still feels damp, heavy. Every surface glistens faintly, as though covered in dew that never dries. Even my breath tastes of metal and silt. Sometimes I still hear dripping. Always behind me. Never from anything I can find. I've started recording myself while I sleep. The first night, the footage showed nothing unusual, just me turning over, whispering nonsense. The second night, the camera froze at 3:17 a.m. The screen went dark, but the audio kept running. For 5 minutes, there was only the sound of water, slow and deliberate, as though someone were walking through it. And a voice, mine, except it wasn't saying words. It was humming. The same low, rising hum I heard on the dock that night before she appeared. I tried to stop the recordings, but every morning a new file appears anyway. The last one was labeled under. I haven't opened it. I don't think I need to. This morning, when I went to wash my face, I forgot instinct took over. I turned on the tap before I remembered. The water came out clear at first, then darkened, swirling with something blue. I backed away. The sink overflowed, spilling onto the floor, but it didn't spread like water. It pooled, thick and slow, forming a perfect circle. And in the reflection, I saw her again. Not distant this time, not underwater. She was standing right behind me. I could see her shoulders, her hair dripping onto the tile, her eyes fixed on mine. She smiled. "You see?" I turned around nothing. The air was cold, sharp, still. I shut off the water, grabbed a towel, wiped the mirror clean. For a second it worked. Then the condensation returned, spreading from the center outward, until a single line appeared, written backwards, like something inside the glass was tracing it from the other side. Almost home. The towel slipped from my hands. My knees gave out. I sat there staring at those two words until they faded. The mirror never fogged again after that. Now the reflections are everywhere. I catch glimpses of her in places that shouldn't reflect on the black screen of the TV, in the window of a parked car, in the gloss of a photo. Always the same face. Always the same quiet patience. I tried covering everything in the house, but it didn't matter. The reflections just moved. I started seeing them in people's eyes. A shimmer when they blinked, a glint of blue where there should have been brown. I think she's spreading. Or maybe she was never separate from me at all. When I breathe, I hear water inside my lungs, soft and rhythmic. When I speak, there's a second voice behind mine, quieter, echoing the words a moment later. It's not trying to trick me anymore. It doesn't need to. I dreamed of J.J. last night. He was sitting on the dock again, legs dangling above the water. I called his name, and he turned to me, smiling that same empty smile. "It's fine," he said. "You'll understand soon." When I woke, my clothes were wet. There was mud on my hands and reeds tangled in my hair. My phone said 4:12 a.m. I could still smell the lake on my skin. I think I'm beginning to remember what happened after I ran. The part I thought was a dream. The part one hoped was, I didn't escape. She let me go. Because she didn't need to chase me anymore. She's inside, and maybe she always was. The human body is mostly water. That's what keeps replaying in my head. Maybe that's the doorway. Maybe that's why she can reach us through what we already carry. Every reflection, every glass, every drop. Sometimes, when I stand still long enough, I can hear faint ripples moving beneath my skin, like whispers through shallow waves. And if I hold my breath, if I listen very carefully, I can hear her voice, right behind the sound of my heartbeat. You never left. I used to think the lake haunted people. Now I know better. The lake doesn't haunt anything. It remembers. It keeps. And I think that's what I've become, one more memory. It refuses to let go. If you're hearing this, if you ever find yourself near still water and see something move beneath the surface, don't look. Don't speak. Don't answer when it whispers your name. Because once you see her smile, she sees you too. And she never forgets. She's still out there, waiting, watching. Maybe she's already found a new reflection to reach through. If you want to hear what happens next, like this video and subscribe to Darkwing Horror. Just be careful what you see the next time you look into the water. Because once you see her smile, she sees you too. And she never forgets. She's still out there, waiting, watching. Maybe she's already found a new reflection to reach through. If you want to hear what happens next, like this video and subscribe to Darkwing Horror. Just be careful what you see the next time you look into the water.